Hello, y'all. My name is Soraya, Young Rye. It's Young Rye's podcast, episode 1. This the pilot.
My name is Isaiah, and I'm happy to be here.
Yes, okay. So before we get started, I'm gonna roll this window up a bit. I'm gonna start with 3 things we're grateful for. Gratitude in this moment. You can start.
You gonna put me on the spot like that? Okay. In this exact moment, I'll say the sun, the trees. And I think the nice breeze right now that we getting.
I'll probably say God and just being here in the sun. It really changes so much.
It does. The sun gives off so much energy, our life energy.
The serotonin, your level is rising.
For sure.
With the sun.
For sure.
So this episode is just going to be about cultivating peace, and that's important. And Okay, so first question, how long did it take you to take care of yourself?
It's sad to say, but I think it took for a global pandemic for me to realize that the way I was thinking about things and the way I was kind of going about my life might not have been the best way for my own mental health and my own personal development. So I think since maybe the pandemic, I've been taking some positive steps in the right direction towards kind of trying to find my happy medium and my peace.
That balance.
Yeah, that balance for sure.
Same.
What about you?
Exactly. I think March of last year, sparked it all off. I was in a crazy place in San Diego trying to figure everything out, and then boom, Corona happened, and it was like, oh, fresh start. Boom. Focus on yourself. Cultivate that peace. Life is getting crazy. Figure out what you want to do. Really do.
Yeah. It made you understand the value of peace. How valuable
the
it
little
really
things,
is.
Literally something like just walking outside.
Yeah.
The sun, the trees, the plants.
Going to a grocery store without a mask.
Oh my
just
God. Yesterday, I went somewhere. I didn't have no mask in here. I was just like, I can't even walk in.
Yeah.
I tried to. They were like, oh, no mask, no entry. And I'm like, whoa.
It's all the stuff
everything
we took
has
for
changed.
granted.
Everything.
Facts.
Just gratitude, being grateful.
For sure.
Because
you don't realize how good something is until you lose it.
Exactly. Yeah. What's your definition of peace, inner peace, and how have you cultivated that in your life?
My definition of peace. For me, I think, and I'm going to answer this more so of not what is peace, but more so of how does my peace feel?
Okay.
And how do I feel when I'm in peace?
Yes.
And kind of what that emotion and that feeling, that state is like.
Okay.
I would say it's lucid thinking, clear thoughts, and mindfulness. I think I'm in most peace when I'm in the exact moment that I'm in. So whether it's I'm watching a show, or I'm doing homework, or cleaning up, anything, it could be the simplest of things. It's just understanding that whatever happened in the past, whatever's going to happen in the future, it's irrelevant.
Exactly.
Because really,
moment.
exactly, it's just about focusing on the moment. I saw something that really resonated with me. Somebody was like, we always want to think about the next moment, I can't wait till we get here in our life, not realizing that we're literally living in the chapters of our life right now, waiting for a new chapter. But before you know it, we're going to be at the end of our book, wanting some more chapters, and that's just not how it works. So
exactly.
I think that's my piece, just my mindfulness in the moment. What about you?
Same. I feel like peace, we use that word so lightly, but it's literally when I think about where I am, who I'm around, what's going on, usually it's in my alone time, and just wherever I'm feeling like I'm clearly thinking. It can be outside working out, it can be drawing, just when your mind is at a cool, composed state, that's peace. Or where I am when I am at peace. Or mindfulness, staying present. We focus, I feel like anxiety and just all of that builds up so much from just worrying about tomorrow, the next week, or last week I should have did this instead. But it's okay, you're here now.
Exactly.
That's all you can control. Let go of everything else you can't control. Stay where you are and move forward.
Exactly.
The best step is forward.
Exactly.
So back to that question. Yeah.
Because if you're feeling emotions of shame, that means you're dwelling in the past.
Exactly.
You're dwelling on what happened,
Anxiety,
what could have
worry,
been,
all of
so
that
like
is
that.
the past.
Yeah, exactly. And then anxiety is like you're worried about the future.
Yeah.
But if you're mindful, like you just worry about right now,
All of
that's
that
when
is
I find
clear.
my most peace. And it might be different for everybody, but I just know for myself that thinking about the future too much, you know, my obligations or what am I gonna, career, all that, these
All of
big
that.
things, like thinking about it and stressing about it right now in the moment isn't gonna change anything for making me more successful or closer to that goal, except for just stressing me out. So trying to learn how to kind of balance those emotions are, I think, super important on like a journey towards all of us trying to find that inner peace and that serenity.
Yeah. And life is just like
Yeah,
this.
for sure.
It fluctuates.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
one day you up, you feeling good, top of the world.
Yeah.
The next day you like, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's in those moments where
Yeah.
you're like, okay, focus on where you are today. That's all you can control. Going from there, finding that happy medium, that
Yeah.
balance, that stillness to calm the parasympathetic nervous system, where you're just like, okay. And that comes from just breath. Taking
Yeah.
a deep breath, like, can really... I
Yeah.
probably take like 30 deep breaths a day, but it's like, whoa, it changes so much.
Yeah.
Meditation,
Oh yeah,
prayer
for sure.
changes so much. Those healthy outlets, finding that balance,
Yeah.
that stillness, cultivating that stillness.
And it's different for everybody, and I think that's kind of like
That's true.
what I think that a lot of people need to understand is everybody has their own outlets, their own life, their own lane, everything. I think the only thing that we should expect of anybody is just that they want peace for themselves. I think that there's so much external factors in the world that are affecting us, all of us, and it's easy to lose your balance and lose your mind, go crazy. But I think we all have a duty to ourselves to be patient, love ourselves, be understanding, and just understand that, everything is a process, life is a journey.
That's true.
And joy wouldn't feel so good if it wasn't for pain. Like, if we didn't have the bad moments, then the good wouldn't be hitting as good.
Like, you wouldn't be as appreciative because you're like, whoa, I literally been brought through this and I'm here now. Thank you, God, for that. That whole journey, like gratitude.
If everything is good all the time, then
gratitude.
your perspective on life is going to be
completely
really
different.
false.
Yeah, that's true.
Because life is going to throw a lot of foolishness at you, a lot of crazy stuff.
For real. But it's in those moments, even the crazy moments, where I'm like, I'm grateful because I know this is only temporary.
Yeah.
Like, tomorrow can be completely different.
Exactly.
And I'm enjoying the uncertainty, like kind of basking in that. Like, okay,
the good
it's
and the
okay.
bad, because it's life.
It's life.
And the people who not here no more, I bet they wish they could have a bad day.
Literally. Oh my gosh. I just wrote that or something like it. I was just like, imagine sitting at your retirement home at 80 years old, right? And you're thinking like, what if I just tried to follow my dreams when I was young? What if I was grateful for the things that I had when I had them?
I think, and that's, so in the barbershop, one of the things, like, and I know a lot of people can attest to this, like, if you in the hood and you in a barbershop, there's for sure a dude in there who's talking about what he could have did. Oh, I was supposed to go to the league, but I hurt my knee. Or I could have did this, but I started doing
track
it.
in high school, but
I was a hooper, but I start getting into crime. Like, all these things at a young age made me realize, like, the worst thing you can have when you get older is regret. Because all them dudes, all they can do is just talk. Every 2 weeks when you go in there to get a cut, or however often you get a cut, usually it's about the same dudes in there talking about the same things they wish they could have done. So for me, it was always, I don't want to be a shoulda, woulda, coulda type of dude. If I want to do it, I'm gonna do it. If I don't want to do it, I'm not gonna do it, and I can live with that. I think that's kind of like the challenge we face every day in life. It's kind of like knowing what our comfort zone is, the boundaries, and pushing the bill a little bit, pushing things, because that is what life is for.
Truly.
You only get one life, is to live it.
Literally.
But yeah, I think, and that's just I think that's the saddest thing, and that's one of my biggest fears that I need to get over, is reacting and acting in a way because I don't want regrets. And like, what I mean by that is like, okay, I can't not do good on these assignments because if I don't get a good grade, then I won't be able to get into this X school, and then I won't be able to get this house, and all these things. But it's like
perspective,
and it's just like understanding that everything is a process, and if I give my best effort, at least I won't have to
At
live with
least you did
regret.
your best.
Yeah, because I feel like living with regret is understanding you didn't give your best effort. But if you give your best effort and things don't work out, you shouldn't have regret. And I think I can live with that, but I think I have to go 100 so that I understand that I lived a life without regret. And then I think I'll be able to be at peace. But like you said, if I'm at 80 years old and like, damn, I should have really took more advantage of this or did this or lived a certain type of way or did this, I think that would destroy. That would be pretty depressing at the end of your life to have that realization.
Yeah.
So
Even like just expectations we put on our lives too. It's like, okay, if you're doing your best, nothing else matters.
Really?
Like literally. So even with just like school too, like, okay, as long as I know the 4 agreements. Have you ever read that?
No.
It's a book by Don Miguel Ruiz, and there's basically 4 agreements he discusses in the book. First one, be impeccable with your words. So that's like speaking with intention, and you know, thoughts become things. So if you're speaking and you're saying, oh, okay, today gonna be a great day, you done already planted that seed. And
as a man thinking,
it's gonna happen. Exactly. And then the second one was, I think it's out of order, but don't take anything personal. Another one was don't make assumptions. And then the last one was always do your best. And then in that chapter, I always come back to reading that at least once a year, because it's like, okay, you learn something new every time you read a book again. And I was just like, whoa, these expectations we put on ourselves. It's just like, oh, okay, I gotta do this, or it's just, and it's like, if you let go of that and you put your best foot forward,
drive yourself
it
crazy.
don't like literally.
You drive
nothing
yourself
else
crazy
matters.
trying to keep up with the Joneses.
Man.
Trying to keep up with the next
Like,
person
literally,
you see
oh
on
my
social.
gosh. And there's no traffic in your lane.
There's
so
no
if
traffic
you just
in
stay
our
there.
But when you start looking at other people's lanes, that's when you crash.
Boom.
So
Boom.
I think that's just the biggest thing. And them 4 things you just mentioned, I feel like that's kind of a way that those things, for example, like expectations, us having these expectations, that's how we take our own peace away from ourselves. You know,
That's
because
true.
I had to realize, like, you know, when you're coming up in school and you feel like your parents put stress on you and stuff, and you get to a certain age and you realize that, nah, my mom's not the one putting the pressure on me. It's me putting the pressure on myself because I have an expectation
And you can
for
take
how I
those
should be things.
Projections from people and place it on yourself. But
And I think another important thing on that, like, on that same subject is understanding, like, we all have our perception of where we should be and who we should be, but living by our own perception of what it thinks can or should be will drive you crazy too. And that's driven. That sometimes, to this day, drives me crazy. Is like, oh man, I feel like I should be here, but I'm not doing this, or oh, I feel like I should have. For example, you know, we're juniors trying to get into these internships and all that stuff. Applying to law internships, it's difficult, especially with the pandemic. It's easy to be like, oh, all these people are getting internships, I'm not doing it, I'm not going to be successful because they're getting upper hand on me. But taking a step back and breathing and understanding we all have different tracks, we all have different paths, and there's no one way to success. And just because they had that opportunity doesn't mean that the opportunity that comes to me, which it will, isn't going to be any less, you know what I'm saying, it's not going to be any less valid or important as theirs just because it came later. So I have to remind myself that every day, just to be in the moment, thankful for what I have, and whatever comes is all a blessing from God.
That's true. Plus, it's like, what can you do today? You know, everything you just spoke, right? What can you do today to help you get there?
Exactly.
And putting your best foot forward, focusing your energy on that, and you're already like putting those possibilities and those opportunities into the atmosphere, into the universe. Fixating your mind, your emotions, and your energy on that. So, before you know it, doors are just opening because you've done that. As opposed to like, oh man, I just want to get there, but it's like, okay, you're gonna, but like, how can you do that? That's like people that's like, okay, I need to make 5K today. God, let me manifest it. But it's like, okay, you can dream, but what about the execution? What are you doing to get there? Like, where are you putting your money? What are you investing in to help you get that income? Like, like that. So it's all a process, literally learning daily.
And I think it's just kind of always being willing to be like a student. I think the worst thing you can be is like think you mastered something. It's like think that you know things. Literally. Because everything, there's so much more knowledge on top of the knowledge that we think we know.
On top of the knowledge. The more I learn that I have a lot more to learn.
Exactly. The more you want to know, literally. Or how does it go? You don't know what you don't know until you don't know it. So it's just that same idea. Is willing to be a student, And I think that also goes with peace too, because peace is also understanding that life comes in so many different variations, and it has so many different shades and tones.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but it's all a part of life, and in that sense, it's beautiful. So it's understanding, like, okay, I'm in this moment. It might be rough. I look back at, some bad moments, whatever it could be, whether it could be family issues, school problems, whatever. No matter how bad it's been so far, I'm still here, able to be on this podcast today.
Just grateful to be. Sometimes it just comes back to that.
Yeah,
like
a lot of
just
times.
being grateful to just be still.
Yeah.
Like, okay, but I'm here.
Yeah.
Nothing else matters.
A lot
like
of times.
everything is everything.
Yeah, we stronger than we think we are. A lot of times we'll be going through it, say depressed, whatever, being like, I don't know how I'm gonna make it through this. I don't know how, the rain is gonna stop. But it always does, or it always works out. And speaking personally, and speaking personally, God doesn't do anything by accident. Everything happens for a reason. And it seems like every time, no matter how bad it's been, I'm still here, able to survive, and that's the beauty of life. And I'm thankful.
So grateful.
I'm thankful just to be able to wake up every day and to
It's
be
a
better than I was the
blessing
next
we take
day.
for granted, for real.
Really, because
for real.
you don't realize how
Blessed we are.
oh man, like
we
even when
can
the pandemic came,
We can.
yeah,
All of our senses intact.
even when the pandemic came, couldn't play football anymore for the school. Wasn't in school anymore because everything's online.
Yeah.
So all dudes were doing was working and doing online school. And that really gave me a perspective of wow, there's so many things that life can be. And I took for granted sometimes, even those early morning waking up at 5 a.m., 5:30, 6 a.m. I
Probably
complained.
hated that in the moment.
I complained. I talked crazy.
Like,
I used to some of the games, travel. I would be mad that we'd have to travel or whatever on a bus. And then it's but this whole world literally could end. And I would beg to be on a bus going to Idaho State for 4 hours, 5 hours with my teammates, even if I didn't appreciate them as much as I should have. Man, it's all part of life, and it's all just beautiful. And as soon as it's gone, and you're not gonna appreciate it. Like I said before, you're not gonna appreciate something until it's gone. And when life is gone, it's too late you can't get it back.
You really can't. Which brings me to the next question. What is the biggest thing that millennials are dealing with right now, and how would you solve it if you had the resources to?
Okay. Millennials. Okay. I think a lot of people in our generation. Okay. Well, this is a two-part thing. I think our people in our generation have way more emotional intelligence than all of the past generations.
Yeah.
So because of that, people think that our generation is the most depressed and
they label
have anxiety.
Yeah.
But I just think our generation has the best ability to understand our emotions.
Truly.
And be like, okay, I'm not feeling.
I know what I'm feeling.
Yeah, I'm not feeling good, and there's something causing this. And whether it be
to the bottom of it.
and whether it be, people who are medically diagnosed with these things, anxiety, depression, or people who are just in life facing these things because of exterior factors that cause depression, anxiety, whatever it is, they're all valid. And I think, so our generation is for sure more emotionally intelligent, but again, I do think that our generation, a lot of people, and at a really young age, lose the ability to think about things in perspective. And I think, I wouldn't say that depression and the anxiety is caused by that, but I do think that when you look at things in perspective of life, and maybe you don't have to look at it in comparison to somebody else's life, people say, oh, they have it way worse than you, so you shouldn't complain. I don't really agree with that.
I hate that.
I don't agree with that narrative, because I feel like everybody's emotions are valid. And if and everybody's life is relative. Something really bad could happen in my life and nothing could happen in your life. So for you, if something minor in your life happens to you, it's gonna feel major. But to the next person, they might say, that's irrelevant. Exactly. But everybody, and word up to my partner, if you ever watch this, he always used to tell me, everybody's entitled to their own emotions, and everybody has the right to believe their emotions are valid. Now, regardless of if they're, if they manage them right, or if they lash out, or all these different things that people criticize about mental health issues or whatever it is, everybody's entitled to themselves
That's true.
in that sense. And if I had all the resources, I really think a lot of the stuff is caused by people just not having money. I really do believe that too.
Oh my gosh, like it can really. We have all these crazy ideas. We're so brilliant, emotionally intelligent. Like literally, we are the blueprint.
Yeah.
But some of us lack the resources to put these visions into fruition. So it's like when you're doing it alone, it's a different journey.
Yeah.
But it's like we all trying to get it and figure it out
facts.
on our own.
And it's like we all trying to chase our dreams, but then it's like the reality of it is, and again, actually, let me slow down.
Yeah, take your time.
So we all chase dreams, and everybody has different dreams. And for a good amount of people, your dreams are gonna be dictated by somebody else that's somewhat kind of showing you some love on the journey. And what I mean by that is like, for example, I want to be a lawyer. That's the dream. And the dream is to be able to give back to the community and be able to represent our people. That's the dream.
Okay.
That brings me peace in chasing that. But I can understand how people lose their peace when they can't reach that and they put in the work.
When things don't go their way.
Exactly.
And
and
they
because
put in the work and feel like they wasted
and
their
it is
time.
because you can put in all the work, but again, the reality of life is things do have to fall in your corner, and you do have to know people. It's, there's a lot of things, connections, all these things that are outside of just work ethic that contribute to success. And I think that understanding that,
Alrighty, in aspects of mental health and Black joy, where would you like to see our people mentally in the next 10 years?
I would like us just to be just super patient and understanding of ourselves and our emotions. I think that one thing that we as Black people do, we hard on like, oh yeah, I need to grind. Like it's all about the grind. It's all about I need to get mine. I gotta struggle to get it. And that's based off of the Black experience in this country. But I really want for our
trauma response.
But I really want our people to live in peace and luxury.
Peace,
if we don't
luxury,
even have to,
life, health, wealth.
I'm talking about 20-hour work weeks. I'm not like, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about kind of like that. I really think that that's why they don't want us to get these higher degrees, because notice the people who get them, like the richest people, have to do the least amount of work.
That's true.
And you know what I'm saying? So I would love for us to kind of start moving into that sphere of kind of like being our own bosses and the owners of our own emotions as well, and not letting kind of the world and this country dictate our emotions in that sense. And I know it's hard, and especially with everything going on, how they just blatantly disrespecting us, it's a natural response, but can't put a price on peace of mind. And I think we should just constantly understand the value of that.
Yes. Freedom.
Oh man. Freedom. And I think peace and a clear mind is freedom. Especially right now, they don't want us to have peace.
And just being your authentic self. Like freedom.
Because they don't want us to have peace.
Oh, no.
And like
look at all these systems put in place to like destroy our peace.
Like and you see what's on the media, all these things, like they don't want us to be serene, calm, and just in tune with ourselves, because there's no money in that.
And then when you do that, they call you crazy. Like,
But you know what I'm saying? But you can be, never mind, I'm not gonna knock any lifestyle actually, but everybody's lifestyle is valid, and as long as it brings you peace, then it's alright.
And if it costs you peace of mind, it's too expensive. Time to bring out the scissors.
It's gotta go.
Yes. I think my answer is I'd like to see us in a place of freedom, mentally, physically, economically, financial freedom, like peace, just like healthy, happy, and just living like, oh my gosh, we've been through a lot. We deserve the world. So we have to give it to ourselves. I like to see us doing for self and separating from society's norms, owning everything, and like keeping money within the community. And Black liberation, I'd love to see that. I'd love to see us healing from trauma, because I think we need to break so many cycles. Like
Because all
So
that
much.
trauma just gets
All of
passed
that.
down and down
Passed
and down.
down generation after. That's why we think gotta get to it. Sophie, don't eat. Gotta get to this bag, and it's like you're burning yourself out.
It's capitalism.
When do you, bruh?
Stay pushing
Back
the
to
work, get
capitalism.
money, and
But
all the
like,
while your mental
truly,
health is garbage and
garbage.
you hate
You
your
are
life.
destroying your life. And then some of the richest people, these celebrities are not happy. They are not. And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to have to get to a certain place economically if it's costing me my peace. Yeah.
I feel like if you can't find your peace before the money and the accolades and the successes come, then it will never be genuine.
And if
you gotta
you're
find
like,
peace for yourself.
Exactly. And if you're rich in peace and it lives within you, any external source can't deter that.
Facts.
Yeah. And happy, healthy, united. I'd love to see that. We're already working towards that. So just continuing that, passing it down to the kids, teaching them, because that's the future.
Yeah,
So,
I see a lot of good stuff. I feel like...
Boom. What does intentional living look and feel like to you?
Something I like to do is every night that I like finish that night's homework, I'll try to set an agenda for the next day.
Yeah, that keeps me.
So it's kind of like what I do on my wake up, what I kind of got to get done, and even I throw in just like something of my hobbies, you know, whether it be drawing or whatever, like just put that in my agenda, like, okay, let's dedicate some time to this. I think that with like the pandemic, what happened was that we had so much time. And I think that can either drive you crazy, like for everybody responds to free time different, but for me it kind of was like,
it's a to your advantage.
yeah, it was kind of like at first I was like, oh, I don't like this, because I was just never been used to having so much time, like, and before you know it, you kind of get in a different mode of feeling like lazy or whatever. So for me it kind of helped just to every morning set my intention, or every night set my intention for kind of how I want my day to go. But I try not to put too much stuff, because I do want to have that patience with myself to be like, okay, I'm not gonna be able to accomplish 10 homework assignments in one day, a test, some work or workouts or whatever. Like maybe it'll be 2 homework assignments and a test. And you know, I'm just trying to keep every day simple, light, but intentional.
Exactly.
And it's been kind of working so far. So I think I'm gonna kind of try to keep this in my life.
In your journey.
Yeah.
Like,
what about you?
I think the same. Intentional living, I see that as just like speaking life, speaking with intention, your thoughts, controlling those. Like, you can think something, but that's not you. You can rewire your brain to recognize opportunity. You can rewire your brain to be like, oh, okay, this was a low vibrational thought, but I think this way, so let's change that. Intentional living can be eating life-giving foods, intentionally, like how your day goes, right? We got 24 hours. Starting those first 4 days, setting your intentions, doing something that, you know, set something off in your morning routine where it's like, okay, I'm feeling good today because I started with this music. I started making this oatmeal bowl. I started doing that, and that. So that's one thing. I think another thing is same thing. Like, I do the same with my week and my little journals. I'll be like, okay, Monday, at least try to knock out these 3 things. These are 3 promises you can keep to yourself. If you knock those out, you did amazing, and that's okay. Don't put too much on yourself, and still get time to rest, recharge, reflect, release, and go on about the next day. So I think that's one thing. And everything is intentional, and everything is energy. Energy is everything. So what you're consuming will consume you. So just being intentional about how much time I spend on my phone, what I'm doing when I'm on my phone, what I'm doing when I'm off my phone, making sure I get sunlight every single day, making sure I'm drinking water, eating my fruits, just anything. Everything is intentional. Speaking with intentional. Even conversations I have, what I say to people, what I do, and making sure I'm feeding my soul and not more of like feeding my ego.
Couldn't have said it better. I think.
Thank you.
And that just all plays into you just being humble and being willing to just always stay a student, like
of life. I'm a student of life.
Exactly. Because none of us have the answers.
Have it together.
The smartest people, the ones who swear they have all the answers, more often than not, be the most misguided ones.
Oh my gosh.
I think it's just about kind of finding what works for you in your life and kind of just living by it. Something I kind of, and don't clown, but like, so since I would say for like the last month, every morning, wake up and I do the same exact thing.
That's good though.
Like,
your morning routine.
Like,
can set the foundation for the rest of the day.
No matter how simple it is too.
Rising with intention.
It was bringing me peace. Like, it'll be wake up. It'll be wake up and say my morning prayers, make my bed, and go to my workout every day. Or like every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because my workout's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But I do the wake up and prayer every day and make my bed. Even if I stay home in the bed, I'll make the bed.
You did that.
Because it's just like I don't know, it
In
kind
your
of just brings me
space,
peace.
If it's clean, it really can control
organization.
Your,
is
oh
peace,
my gosh,
and it's, for me,
literally,
it's different for everybody.
If your environment is cluttered, your mind is cluttered.
For sure.
So
for sure.
Rising with intention, like just waking up, like,
man,
thank you God for another day to just live, love, and be.
I think it's really important maybe to wake up and take some time to yourself before you kind of go on social media and let the world come into your space. You should just make sure your space is good.
What about you?
Yeah,
Take
exactly.
care of you
make sure your
before...
space is good before bringing in the world's. You know,
It's
the world's bullshit
like
to your
exactly.
to your world.
Said check on yourself as much as you check Instagram. Check on yourself as much as you check Instagram. Okay, next question. When did you start your spiritual journey, and where are you at with that right now?
Okay. Grew up religious my whole life. Mom and all them, like church, you already know. The common experience going to church every Sunday for a heck of hours.
Same.
I think all those years, and I went to Catholic school, everything, like, I didn't have a real relationship with God for myself. A lot of things were kind of
like
just
brought to you, but you didn't
I feel like
work on it for your own self.
And all of my going to those schools, and then you can have your own opinions outside of what they say, but because you're in these spaces, they're never going to really want you to challenge their way of thinking.
Oh my gosh, that's true.
And about a year ago, I kind of just took a step back and was like, okay, the way I worship, the way I'm spiritual, that's not real spirituality, in my opinion. Everything that I'm about to say is my opinion.
Period. Speak your piece.
For example, like, I would go to church every Sunday, every other day of the week. Might not necessarily pray. I don't think that that's really spiritual, or saying that I wouldn't, at that time, I wouldn't consider myself a spiritual person by just going to church once a week and then going about my life. And nothing changes except for the fit I wear to church every Sunday. I think for me was really just brought me kind of like that piece, is finding a spiritual practice, school of belief that works for me, that resonates with me for myself. And it was that understanding and the willingness to be different from my family, different from everything that I thought I knew, everything I was taught.
Unlearning and relearning something that works for you.
Because everybody's different.
That's just passed down, but it's like starting your own and figuring out what works for you, what God brings you to.
I have my own beliefs, I have my own knowledge. And it could be different than the people before me.
That's true.
And I think the worst thing you can be is somebody who's closed-minded to new things. And the spiritual practice that I practice now, I was open-minded towards it. For me, throughout this whole pandemic, it's brought me peace. And I feel like I've grown through it. So for me, it works. And I think that's beautiful that I found something that I can kind of dedicate myself to, try to get better at every day, because it is something you have to work on. Changing your spiritual practices, beliefs, but spiritual practices, the way you pray, the way you worship it, it's really...
It's all like one person does it their own way. It is intentional.
Exactly.
That's so true.
So I've just been trying to find my spiritual peace, and regardless of, and for everybody watching, regardless of the religion, the practice, whatever, as long as it's teaching the universal truths of love, peace, respect for fellow man, and is bringing you some understanding, peace, then you win. Regardless of what it is, or when anybody says, or with the world or the media, or if it seems legit or not, or whatever, and it works for you and it's bringing you that peace, then you won. Because like we keep saying through this thing, you can't put a price on peace. And so if you can find peace, oh man, you got the winning lottery ticket, right?
You are rich in peace. You're rich in love. You are the one, like truly. So yeah, that's amazing.
What about you?
Very well said. Same. I feel like growing up too, like, we've been taught a lot of different things, but it wasn't until like recently, like last year and this year, where a lot changed, and I was like, okay. And it kind of happened with the pandemic too, just having more time with myself, clearing my mind, and like getting closer to God was like my main, I think it's the best thing I did in my life. And since then, I've been able to figure out what works for me, what I'm unlearning and relearning, what different things I'm doing now that wasn't taught to me. But in learning that, I'm like, I like doing this, and I'm going to continue doing this because this works for me.
Yeah.
My peace and my serenity, my tranquility, and just like my relationship with myself and the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So
how you relate to everything around you, and like how everything around you relates to you as well.
That's true.
I think that that's all really important to kind of, we all like remember and are cognizant of, like everything we do is in relation to everything around us, and vice versa. So it's kind of like, that's why it's super important to really try to put out positivity and stuff like that, because that's how the world's
You're
gonna
planting a seed.
Yeah.
Every word that comes back
Yeah.
to intention.
Yeah.
Like speaking with intention. You're either planting seeds of growth, love, or you're planting seeds of like low vibrational death. The difference in life is death. So yeah.
And nobody ever stays the same. Either you get better or worse, but
You
nobody
only
ever
evolve.
stays the same.
You can only elevate.
Nobody
Like,
stays the same.
and that's not like elevation as in like riches or money or material, because that's an illusion, love.
Yeah.
You can only elevate in so many other different aspects,
Yeah.
and that goes back to being a student of life. Like, just grateful for everything we learn in the journey of life.
Thanks. Be able to look back and understand that everything was a lesson, and
Right.
it happened for a reason.
Truly. Okay. And how long did it take you to take care of yourself first?
I'm still learning how to try to take care of myself, but I have a better understanding of listening to my body and listening to
That's
the cues that
huge.
it gives. And what I mean by this is, before the pandemic, I was playing football, so that's like 40 hours a week, and I was working a full-time job, so that was like another 40 hours a week, plus college. So I was doing that. There was a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, and I think it was because of that mindset. Maybe it was that black power type of thing, like, oh, whatever it is, I can handle it, like, you know. But realistically, like, I shouldn't even have attempted to put that much stuff on my plate. Like, that's being inconsiderate of myself.
In your life.
So I was realizing, like, I was out there in Portland, it's always cloudy and stuff like that. I'm working all the time and kind of feeling like I'm working and stuff like that, but there's no end goal.
Balance.
Like, there's no end to the work. You know what I'm saying? When you work a job, there's no like end goal.
It's like, oh, okay, I made this, but I gotta keep going because I haven't got here yet.
Oh, I don't have to work on Friday, Saturday, but you go back Sunday, and that's kind of like just
Reoccurring cycle.
Yeah, there's no kind of satisfaction
Okay.
in working. You know, I'm like, in that sense, college, that was my sophomore year, so it's like, oh, I have so much more college, and then it's like, so everything was just
That can
really,
make the mind go
I was kind of in the rut of everything, kind of like feeling like I'm kind of stuck with life. At 19, I was like, I'm stuck with life, and that should never be the case.
Never.
That should never.
We're so young and we go through so much, but it's
putting
like,
all that on myself.
change your perspective
Exactly.
of everything happening. And you can change your life.
And I look back,
It's
and
all
it's
in the
like,
mind.
really. And I could have never. And now, if somebody told me, oh yeah, we need you to work 40 hours a week, and have practice 40 hours a week, and have classes, I would say no.
That don't work for me.
Like, now I think that that's the beautiful thing about
Boundaries.
this time, for sure, is like understanding, like, no, I'm not going to be doing this type of work for this amount of time, or I'm not going to be doing this. If my body tells me I'm tired, say it'll be 11 o'clock, I'm doing homework, I'll be tired, don't want to do it, and say it's doing, 2 nights.
Yeah.
I'll put it down. Before you, I got to do it, I'll put it down, be like, okay, throw on a little movie and go to sleep, and finish it the next day. Everything works out. So it's kind of like that understanding of being patient with myself, and
time too.
And time management as well.
Yeah.
I think that's all played a role in how I just take care of myself. I think going back to the spirituality part, praying has been a really good way for me to kind of be in peace, because no matter what's going on in my life, bad, good, wins, losses, you should always try to maintain that equilibrium, that balance. Like, never get too high on the ups and never get too low on the downs. Yeah, so it's kind of like through prayer and everything, like, and you saying the same prayers 5 times a day, whatever it may be, there's a sense of humble, because you could come to that prayer in a horrible state,
of being
depressed, anxiety, everything, and you leave out feeling the same way you leave out if I came in off of, say, getting payday, a payday, I don't know, having a good day or whatever, a sunny day. No matter what happens, you have to give it all back to God.
Always.
The good and the bad.
It just comes back to that.
Yeah.
Giving it all to God.
The good and the bad. And I think that's really just kind of allowed me to take care of myself, is be able to give all of the good and the bad up to something greater than me that I actually have a relationship with. Before pandemic, I feel like my relationship wasn't so good with God, or I would have like a real theological perspective of God, like from what I heard. But now I feel like I have my own understanding of life in a sense, and about how God relates to me and everything around me. So that's been a really good experience, and I'm glad that I'm still on this journey. It's a lifelong journey. It's a lifelong journey, but I'm glad that I took the time to at least begin at a somewhat younger age.
That's amazing.
What about you?
I think I used to put so much on myself, college, life. I'm thinking about like, okay, I want financial freedom by this age, but it's like, okay, run your race. Life is a marathon. So it's like,
RP Nip.
For real, like, oh my gosh, rest in power. But like, life is a marathon. So I'm just thinking about it like, okay, you just ran the first race. Congratulations. You just knocked out the first lap. Congratulations. But don't put so much on yourself. It's gonna work out. Everything will align, but that takes time. So just like creating that like understanding with myself. So when I know, and like you said, listening to your body is huge. Energy, it's all energy. So your body will not lie to you when you feel something. And that's like, okay, back to the list I make, and I'm like, oh, it's now 8 p.m. and I said I got 2 more things to do. All right, now it's 10 and I already knocked out 1. But like, if you're tired, rest.
Patience with yourself.
Rest.
Especially if it's not due that night. I mean,
like, please rest. And I really don't put too much on myself. And just talking to myself. Just talking to God.
Like that inner dialogue.
Like, literally.
Really. Because I think that's the closest we can get to like ourselves. It's kind of just being like, man, and
like, Ryan,
we're not suggesting
you're doing your best.
We're not suggesting you just outside on the street talking about,
but I do that too.
Yeah, I like those shoes. They were going crazy. I don't know about that.
I be in the grocery store like, Ryan.
But like them are your like internal thoughts.
Internal thoughts. You're just self-expression. That's what this is.
And I think that's mindfulness. Like being in tune with yourself on that type of level is a level of mindfulness. Because there's so many things we do that we don't even realize we do. Like even breathing. Like, because the Apple Watch, it'll tell you like to breathe. So when I slow myself down,
we take that for granted. It's like breath.
When I slow myself down to take those 6 breaths, that feels like the longest part of my day.
Wow.
And that could be like, and that's where like 30 seconds. But them sitting down and being like, for dumb long off of like the little Apple Watch thing, it'll really be like, it'll feel like forever. But that's just like this. So that kind of goes to show like, just time. The value of just time and how you use that time for yourself.
In life, time don't stop for nobody. So I feel like we're all trying to knock this out, and knock that out. But it's like when you come back to breath, as long as you got breath, you got options. So once you come back to that, it's kind of like, okay, I'm doing better. And it took a long time to get here because I think just even like growing up in Oakland, by the time you graduate, you like, okay, you need to be here by this time, and it's like,
you don't have time to play because
you're just trying to figure it out.
You understand that like
to it.
Time is limited and opportunities are limited. If you don't take advantage of that, you're gonna end up like them cats at the barbershop, the woulda, shoulda, woulda, coulda. And I'm not knocking them brothers, but I'm just saying that I want to be able to look back and either be at peace that I didn't do something or that it didn't work out but I gave my effort, or be able to look back and be like, oh yeah, I did that. I can live with that, but I can't live with a fear of failure or them type of regrets of me failing to be the best person that I could be. Literally, like if I have the opportunity to be successful and don't take it because of like laziness or stuff like that, I can't live with that.
Failure isn't real to me. And it wasn't until I actually made a podcast. I was recording my own because I do my own sometimes. And I told my cousin, I was like, I was talking about what separates successful people from failures. And then she was like, but like, who's a failure? Like, what is failure? And I was like, it's all an idea, just like perfection. Like, nothing is perfect. No one's perfect. Literally. Facts. It's an idea. So it's like, as long as you got breath, you got options. You're not failing. You can life is all about choices. So you
Facts.
can make different choices to change things up. You can make different choices to go to sleep instead of staying up, because those 2 extra hours you got of sleep will change the next 20 days of your productivity. Little do we know. Those 3 foods you just chose to eat that weren't like terrible for your body will change your next 3 years of living. It's all about choices. So
Facts. Yeah, I couldn't have said it any better. And I think that just like, if you get woken up every day, and if God chooses to wake you up every day, you have the
supposed to be here.
opportunity. You have the opportunity to bring yourself somewhat closer to your own version of peace. And I think that's just the beauty of it all. Like, even if, regardless of success versus failure, or what we perceive as success versus failure, like, just even being able to wake up and breathe and be able to be present in a moment is the greatest gift. And I think that on that note, like, we just need to continually remind ourselves that, and just try to live by that. And that's something I try to remind myself constantly in everything I do, because it's like anything can happen. We all have people who not here no more, who if we could just have 30 minutes, if we could just have 30 minutes to chop it up with them,
oh my gosh,
it would be priceless. So, you know, it's just about the value of time and how beautiful it is just being able to wake up every morning.
Gratitude comes back to that. Gratitude is the attitude, and gratitude is going to help you attract so much abundance in life. So it's like celebrating the little things, celebrating where you are now can unlock doors for what's to come. So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for supporting. And this is just a form of self-expression and joy. Like, I do this because it's like,
Thanks.
hey, I don't really put expectations on myself, or like, oh, you need to apply this. Like, no, you don't. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. That's valuable.
Thanks for having me.
Have a blessed one, y'all.